Hey, can I let you in on a little secret? The most powerful women I know, the ones building empires, making big moves, enjoying the process, they're all in one place. And you should be too. It's called Insider. We're talking exclusive content from 7 to 8 figure female founders and entrepreneurs, virtual and IRL events, masterclasses, premium video, and my personal favorite, the Pick My Brain series. So, are you ready for more conversations just like this one? Join for as little as $6.99 a month at thenoinsider.com.
Welcome to the High Achieving Female Podcast, powered by No, where we believe high achieving female leaders deserve to be known. Here, you're going to get the tips, tools, and inspiration you need to network, grow, scale, and balance your business, career, and life.
Everywhere you look, there's another new coach. I know your feed is full of them. Some are brilliant and some, well, let's just say they're life coaches because they read 2 personal development books and how to break through in the shower. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And here's the thing with that freedom is beautiful. That means anyone can step up and anyone can serve, but it's also dangerous because when clients get burned, when they pay thousands of dollars and walk away with nothing but hype and empty promises, the trust in our entire industry erodes. That's what I want to talk about today. So I'm Kayla Burch. I'm an expansion coach. I'm the creator of the Trigger Response Method, author of the Expansion Code, and I'm the founder of the Coaching Mastery Academy, where I have personally trained coaches all over the world. And I've also been trusted to train and develop coaches for some of the most recognized names in our industry, including Burchard and Tony Robbins. So I know what I'm doing, and I've seen what creates real transformation, and I've seen what causes harm. So this episode absolutely is not about pointing fingers. It's about raising the standard. So I want to talk about why this is so important. And one of my clients came to me after dropping 25K on a business coach. And here's what they got. They got access to a Facebook group with over 100 people in it, right? They got group coaching sessions where with the same 100 people in there. And so they didn't even get called on, and a generic coaching program that was just the same recycled content sold again and again and again. Lots of hype, zero depth. That's not just disappointing. That's harmful because now they didn't just mistrust that coach, they mistrust all coaches. That's like paying for a personal trainer and getting someone who just says, do some push-ups. I believe in you, right? The standard has to be higher. It has to be higher, and we have to be the one, right? So that's problem one. That's skipping the skill work. That's the first problem. Second problem here is performance instead of presence. So there are coaches out there who can recite motivational lines like a freaking TED Talk machine, and they sound impressive. They know how to fire up a crowd. But the problem with that is when they're one-to-one with the client, when it comes time to actually set in the real stuff, the vulnerable stuff, asking hard questions, holding silence, guiding someone through a wall, they fall flat. Because it's not enough to sound like you belong on a stage. If you can't freaking serve the person across from you, coaching isn't about performing. It's about being with someone. It's about holding them in that space. It's about pushing them to their next level, but also holding them in the transformation of the heaviness that requires. And if you are just quoting things you read in a book or you heard someone else say, it's just a really beautiful soundbite and nothing more than that. And then we have a third problem, and that's chasing status and not service. And then there's this obsession with looking like a coach instead of just being a coach. So people are so focused on their Instagram grid, their brand photos, their big launches that their clients feel like props in a marketing campaign. So I'm sure you've experienced this too. And listen, I'm not against looking the part. I love a strong brand. And when your brand is shinier than your actual coaching ability, people feel that. And clients know when you're more invested in your next post than in their next breakthrough. And that's why people roll their eyes at the word coach, because too many have experienced coaches who couldn't back up the promise. And if you've ever felt that, continue to listen. If you are that, if you're feeling that within yourself, keep listening. Because what we need to do is we need to raise the standard. And so what does that raising that standard actually look like? So it's not about perfection. That's not what we're talking about here. It's not having every certification under the sun. That's just another trap in and of itself. It's not even being the loudest voice in the room. Raising the standard comes down to 3 things: skill, presence, and integrity. So let me give you a story about this. One of my coaches came into my academy. She came in terrified. She said, "Kayla, I feel like a fraud. I've been doing this for years and I don't know what to do when a client brings me something big. It feels too heavy. I feel bad. So how am I supposed to help them? Like, I don't want to do something wrong. I don't know how to navigate these difficult situations." And she'd been hiding behind surface level coaching. So she was always trying to sound smart. So she didn't get caught. So she didn't get found out as being this fraud that she felt that she was. So fast forward a few months later, she learned how to slow down. She learned how to ask deeper questions and how to actually let the client lead instead of rushing to fill the silence. And most importantly, she learned how to handle her own stuff so it wasn't leaking into the client session. So one day a client came in, full blown meltdown. And instead of panicking, she stayed steady, right? Because that's what you do when you are calm, clear, collected. You know what to do and you've really mastered your skill. And that client walked out of that call, not just feeling better, not just having some new little mantra to slap on, but actually taking action that changed their marriage and their business. That's raising the standard. That's skill, that's presence, that's integrity, because she showed up to deepen her skill. So how do we hold that standard? And one, if you're a coach, how do we hold it? And two, how do you spot it if you are a consumer, if you're a client? So we're going to expand into this. One, it's always skill over strategy. So we stop hiding behind marketing and start honing the craft, just like that coach I just shared about. So that is one of the most important things we can do. Once she stopped doing the things that actually made her feel safer, right? And when she stopped just giving advice constantly or mimicking these really bold statements, these motivational statements, it became safer to her to do that than actual coaching. So once she stopped that, she asked cleaner questions, deeper questions. Her sessions transformed. Clients weren't just inspired, they were changed. That's skill. So we have to deepen the skill. We have to keep honing our craft. And then there's always presence over performance. So your clients don't need you to be the loudest or the most polished. They need you to be steady. They need you to be honest. They need you to be engaged. Right. So I had a client once who didn't need a single new tool. They were all very, very, very much aware of what they needed to do. They just needed someone to sit in the silence long enough for their truth to come up, to ask them challenging questions so they could actually share what was going on and stop hiding behind all of the skills, all of the learning, and all of the growth. And that moment changed everything. That's presence, to just sit in that silence. So it's not always about performance. It's not always about having the right answer. It's about your ability to set and be present for the client. And always integrity over image. So don't promise what you can't deliver. This is what gives the coaching industry the worst name, is all these inflated results. So don't do that. Like, I've worked with coaches who were too afraid to admit when they didn't know something, and that put them in a really, really hard spot. And the moment they told the truth, their clients trusted them more. It came across in their messaging. It came across in their coaching sessions. And integrity creates safety, and safety creates transformation. So if you're listening as a potential client wondering, how do I know if this is the coach is the real deal? You just ask this. Ask them what kind of training they've done. Ask how they handle it when a client gets stuck or spirals, and ask for stories of transformation, not just screenshots of income. A real coach won't be offended. They'll be proud to answer. They'll be able to show you that, right? And always look for a level of credibility. Does this coach actually know what they're talking about? And if you're a coach, are you accredited? Do you have an affiliation with an accrediting body? Because that is the standard we must hold ourselves to. We must own our craft, and we must take it a step further. Right? There's multiple accrediting bodies out there, so you can do your due diligence and find one that works for you. The IAPCNM, the ICF, there's multiple out there to see what works for you. So the coaching industry doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more people just to stand up and say yes. It needs coaches who can actually do the work that they're selling. And when you choose skill, presence, and integrity, you don't just build your business, you rebuild trust in an entire industry. So my question for you is this: are you contributing to the problem, or are you leading the solution? Because at the end of the day, the future of coaching won't be built by the ones who market the loudest. Like, that's not what this is. It'll be built by the ones who can actually deliver transformation. So I'm Kayla Burch, and if you're listening, consider this your invitation to raise the standard with me.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the High Achieving Female Podcast, powered by No. where we believe it's time for high-achieving women like you to be seen, heard, and recognized. Until next time, remember, you deserve to be known.